it's great to see you, and thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank you for having me, Rudy. It's great to see you too.
For folks who are watching this whole interview on Rudy Blair Entertainment Media, rudyblairmedia.com, for the last 10, 50 minutes, Vanessa and I have been trying to figure out where did we do this first interview and everything. I'm trying to find it on video, and it sounds like, and it looks like the last time you and I spoke was actually over the phone. So I'm
I
just
think
glad to get a chance to speak to you in person
I
through Zoom.
I know. Good old Zoom. Though honestly, the last year, I think everyone feels that way. The last year is a weird blur. We don't know what we did for a year, but we're here. So
Oh my goodness, that is the best way to describe it. Just
I
no
think
words.
back, I think back on things now and I'm like, oh yeah, that was last year. And then I'm like, no, that was 2 years ago. Like my whole time, my sense of time is completely warped. So
And thank you, and completely understandable too. Where are you right now as we speak?
I am in Nashville. I'm welcome to my home. I'm home in Nashville. So I've been here about 7 years. I've been in this house since September.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm just chilling at home
You
talking to
know,
you.
it's funny because I was talking to Tebe, who's
Okay.
also in Nashville too, and we've been speaking a lot and asking how things are going. And he was saying that it's basically like people aren't even wearing masks. Like things seem to have really improved, considering the fact that you guys dealt with tornadoes, COVID-19, flood.
Yeah.
Like you guys had every disaster that you can think of happen in the
And
last 2 years.
yeah, Nashville's had a rough, I mean, the whole world has had a crazy time with COVID. In Nashville, really oddly, it was like the tornado hit in March of 2020. And then a week later, COVID hit. And then, there was a bombing downtown at Christmas.
Right. Yeah.
There was, the riots got really crazy here for a little while. So it's been like, Nashville's just had but Tebe's right. The one thing that we've done well, or they've done well here in recently, is they've got the vaccine out to people really quickly. The rollout was so fast. I was double vaccinated like the beginning of April. So, so things here are definitely, there's hope in the air now. We can see the light. It's good.
Yeah, because we need you to start traveling. We need you to come to
I
Ontario, come to
know.
Toronto, and
I
start playing your great
know.
music. Because that's one of the things we're going to be talking about is this new single that,
Yeah.
to me, just the name itself is ominous. It's just like, oh, I cannot wait to hear the backstory. But the
Yeah.
backstory we need to talk about, though, is of course your
Yeah.
career and the love of music, where it all began. Where did it begin for you?
So I think, gosh, I started dancing when I was 3, and like every kind of dance. And so it was a little bit of that kind of, I went through like dance, and I got into a little bit of musical theater. And then I started working with a vocal coach when I was 8. So that kind of happened that way. But my family, my mom is one of 9, my dad's one of 7. I have a huge family, and yeah, it's fun most of the time. And my mom's side of the family, there's a lot of musicians. So and they're kind of like folk, kind of old rock guys. So I grew up listening to a lot of folk music and old country. And I was on the younger end of the cousins. So they were all kind of my big cousins, my older cousins, my uncles that played. And I just grew up like idolizing them. I'm laughing because you can see my parents are visiting from Canada right now, which is,
I was gonna say, who's
and my dad is in the window.
I was like, is she got a peeping Tom or
I can see,
something?
it's just my dad. I told him to stay outside, but he's ignore him. But yeah, I kind of got into music, I guess music that way, country music that way. And then when I was 8, I started working with a vocal coach, and it just kind of spiraled from there. Music was never something that, like, I don't remember a moment where I was like, I want to do this forever, because it just sort of was always that, as long as I can remember. So really, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been a long time.
I gotta ask though, Christmas dinner growing up, or Thanksgiving, or whatever the big events, what is it like to have all these people around? Like, is there a fight for food, or making sure you get, like, if you have an eye on something,
Yeah,
like a piece of
absolutely.
cake or something, like, I
Absolutely.
I gotta get it.
Absolutely. So usually my grandma on my mom's side, who's still with us, she's 92 and she's wonderful. She used to. We haven't done it in a few years because it's just the family keeps getting bigger because now my cousins are getting married and having kids and there's more and more people.
Oh my God.
But growing up, we used to have Christmas dinner at her place in Ottawa. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I'm gonna quit this. We used to have Christmas dinner at her house. And I mean, it would be like tables just all connected all through her living room. So it'd just be like, those plastic fold up tables, there'd just be like rows of those. And there would be, I mean, when everyone was there, probably around like between 50 and 60 people doing a sit down dinner. So, I mean, the saint that is my grandmother, first of all, for that. But there was one, when you talk about running for food, there's this one dessert she makes on Christmas called brandy snaps. And they're these like rolled butterscotch, almost like a toffee. And you roll it into like a little cylinder when it's still soft. And then when it hardens, she fills them with whipped cream. So they're to die for. And no one else has ever successfully made them because I think there's quite an art to it. And she, for some reason, if there's 50 people coming to dinner, she will make 48 brandy snaps. She never makes quite enough for everybody. And they're everyone's favorite. So there's always a literal stampede when someone yells brandy snaps and it's like you're taking each other out to get one of these things. But I mean, it was so fun. It is so fun. I can't wait to get back and see everybody and just get some family time. So
I hope you get that soon. I'm curious though, growing up, what was the first concert that you went to? Do you remember?
I do. The first concert, I actually was funny. I was thinking about this the other day for some reason. The first concert I ever went to was the Backstreet Boys. Which like, I wish I had a cooler answer to that question. Which I was 8 years old and in that moment, I already knew that I had a big crush on Nick Carter, who was in the Backstreet Boys, but in that moment was like, I'm in love with you. I remember being a little kid and being like, oh my gosh. So that was my first concert. My first country concert was Tim and Faith's Soul to Soul tour. And that was like the first, because they did two. The first one, I think I was in maybe even grade 9 at that point. And that was like just a game changer for me. I mean, it was such an epic show. And me just being like, that's what I want to do.
That's amazing. Just curious, have you had a chance to meet either one of them?
I have not actually met either one of them. They, which is funny because Nashville is one of those cool places that there aren't a lot of like paparazzi never really infiltrated Nashville and people are really chill when celebrities are here. So like I was in Whole Foods a couple weeks ago and Dierks Bentley was behind me buying groceries and no one says anything. Everybody's just kind of really chill about it. But Tim and Faith I've never seen. So
my fingers are crossed. My fingers are crossed for you. I've interviewed both of them, Faith mostly, and they're honestly probably one of the most down-to-earth people.
They seem that way. I love hearing that because they totally seem that way. And they've been married for like ever. And they seem awesome.
Exactly. Country music, though, I always say this, that country music and hip hop, they seem to be the two best when it comes to storytelling.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
Is that one of the things that attracts you to country music is the storytelling because it can be really raw.
Totally. And I think it's as a listener and as a writer, because it's interesting when you're writing country music or you're writing with people who purely write country, as opposed to having like a pop writer in the room or writing a pop song. Country music being so story-based has to literally like, you have to be able to read down lyrics and have them make total sense. Like a beginning, middle, end has to all, where in pop music, you can kind of throw in these one-liners that sound cool, but no one really knows what it means. Like that's not really the way country music works because it is so story-based. So it's a real, it's kind of a good, as a writer, it's a really good practice to be able to go like, okay, hold on, let's stop for a second and read this down and make sure that like it's making sense and the story's flowing and all of that. So it's cool from a creative, and then also as a listener. I mean, I think some of the most powerful, impactful songs of all time were either written by country artists or performed by country artists, and it is that story that's so powerful. So,
and not only that too, those powerful country songs can be put in, like, can be re-recorded as an R&B song.
For
as
sure.
a pop song, as
Yeah.
band. We've heard that many, many times.
Yeah.
And the reason
Yeah.
why I put the two together is the fact that for the last, what, I'd say last 5, 6 years, you've seen country artists and hip hop artists actually do a lot of duets together. If
Together, which is
you
so
could,
cool.
if you could do a duet with a hip hop artist, who would it be and why,
My
do you think?
gosh, that's a good question. My boyfriend's a big hip hop and rap guy, so he would like if I messed up this answer, he's gonna be mad at me. Um, Honestly, I grew up listening to a lot of Usher, so I might say Usher,
Nice.
but I also love like Mary J. Blige, something old school could be really cool. That girl can sing her tush off. Um, yeah, I'd say one of those two maybe. But there's probably 10 I could think of.
That's amazing.
That
I
would be
would
cool.
love to hear it too, though. What do you think in your career? Where was the big break for you? Do you think from, of course, playing the small bars and local
Mhm.
areas to finally getting your name out there
Yeah.
in the public? Where do you think that came in from?
I mean, it's such a process. It's crazy looking back on all of it. And I mean, I've been doing this now 11 years full time. And it's like when I think of, the start, it's such a crazy, awesome ride. I think for me, like my biggest personal break was I've been, and I haven't seen them in a while, and I honestly can't even talk about it because I could cry. But my band, I've had the same band in Canada for we started playing together 8 years ago. And it was when I met them that I think a big shift in me happened. And by that I mean when I started, I was so green and so young, and I didn't really know how a lot of stuff worked, and my confidence a lot of the time was really low. And then I met these four guys, and they just kind of bound around me and became this team, and they believed in me so much, and they were so supportive, and pushed me out of my comfort zone constantly. And it just was this support system that I'd never had. Like I knew I could never mess up something so badly that they wouldn't be able to like make it look better and make me feel like it was going to be fine. And so really when I met them, we started playing bars we played the bar scene for about 5 years, 3, 4 nights a week. I had no social life other than these four guys, and we were just a family. And it was, looking back on that, even I'm like, my gosh, I wish that I had known how awesome those years were, because it was so exhausting. The weekend would roll around and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I have 4 shows in 3 days. I'm not going to sleep at all. I'm so tired. I don't feel like doing this. And then you'd get there and people would come into the bars, and it would just like, all of a sudden you found energy, and it was so much fun. And we had such a great time. I think professionally, probably winning Boots and Hearts showcase was like the biggest in terms of like exposure and big stage moment that I'd had. So I did Luck Knows Music in the Fields the year before that. And I won that and opened for the band Perry at that one, which was awesome.
Wow.
And then Boots and Hearts. I mean, I think most Canadian artists will tell you that stage is just like, it's the best stage. That catwalk, like nothing is more fun than that catwalk at Boots and Hearts. So I think probably that moment was like a real big win for us and big career change.
Let's talk about the Boots and Hearts. And I'm still trying to find out if they're doing it again this year or not. I'm not even sure. So,
Yeah.
but what was the process of you being involved with this? And you're right, being part of Boots and Hearts with so
Yeah.
many great artists from Canada and from the United States too. It is an amazing experience.
I so funny enough, I had applied to the showcase maybe 2 years before. So I went in 2016. So maybe in like 2014, I applied. I never heard back. I never heard anything. And then I had done the music in the fields one the year before, and I hadn't like given up on the Boots and Hearts showcase thing, but it wasn't really something I was planning on doing. And then I was playing at Nashville North one night. And this girl came up to me who, funny enough, now is one of my best friends. She worked for Boots and Hearts. And then when I was with Universal, she was my marketing manager at Universal. She moved over and she's still at Universal now. But she came up to me this little blonde, like bold, came up to me and she was like, "Are you doing the Boots and Hearts showcase?" And I was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, I hadn't planned on it. And she was like, "Well, I really think you should, you know, I work with Boots and Hearts. And like, I think you're awesome. And I really, really feel like you should try this." And I was kind of like, I kind of hummed and hawed. And then I thought, oh, what do I have to lose? And then she was the one that called me and was like, "You're in the showcase." And I was like, oh my gosh. So it kind of just happened that way. And then, I mean, the process of the contest and everything was definitely just one of the coolest, experiences. I mean, being a part of that festival is so exciting. It's such a family. And that moment that they told me that I won was just like, I mean, a total pinch yourself moment where you're just like, me? Me? Are you talking to me? I did. Are you sure? I think every artist has a little bit of that imposter syndrome too. So they're kind of like, I remember just being like, "Are you sure that I did?" But yeah, I mean, the whole experience, I have nothing but good things to say about that festival and the team behind it. And I hope something happens this year. And I hope if it does, I can come home and do something. So stay tuned.
Well, you just said something that's important too about coming home, because you are
Yeah.
in Nashville. What has that move to Nashville done for your career?
I mean, I think it's been a real game changer in so many ways. I started coming here in maybe 2013. I moved here for the first time in 2014. So I've been here on and off for about 7 years now. And the first time you come to Nashville, I feel like it can either do two things. You can either be like insanely intimidated by all the talent, just be like, I'm like the smallest fish in the biggest pond all of a sudden, which is true. Or you can find it really inspiring. And I think luckily I found it really inspiring. There's just, I mean, it's such a cool, unique city in that so many people here are doing something similar, or all working, you know, in music in some capacity, not everyone, but a lot of people. And so it's just inspiring to be around that all the time. You know, if you're ever having like a lull moment where you're like, oh, I don't really feel like being that creative, you know, you go to a bar and you hear some amazing singer-songwriter, or you hang out with your friends and then they introduce you to, you know, someone who's written something awesome, and you're just constantly like pushed, which I think is so important. And I think I really needed that. I grew up in, you know, an amazing family and amazing friend group. And I'd had the same friends in Canada for years. And so moving to Nashville was really forcing myself way out of my comfort zone. I knew no one when I moved here. I had zero friends. I would get up. I remember calling my mom crying and being like, "I don't know why I'm here," because I would get up in the morning and get ready. And then I would sit on the couch and be like, okay, now what do I do? But it's also cool because Nashville's a real transplant city. Like, so many people who are here are not from here. So everyone is so eager to make friends. And that's a really cool thing to be around.
Well, the other cool thing is you got a new single out. What is the
I
new
did.
song? I kind of, gave a little taste of it. There's, like I said, the title itself, ominous. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's the new single called, and what's the single about, please?
Yeah. So it's called Yours to Lose. And I actually wrote it about one of my best girlfriends here, because now I have friends, which is great. One of my best girlfriends here was dating this guy and just was in this really weird situation that I think so many people have been in, which is everything was going really, really well. And then all of a sudden he just got cold and flipped a switch and like turned off. And he was kind of doing that thing where we felt like he was trying to be awful in an attempt to get her to end it so he didn't have to. But she really didn't want to. And so I was hearing about that situation a lot. And then I went into this write, and we were talking about throwing around some ideas, and I was telling them about that. I said, you know, all I've been listening to lately is this situation, and trying to give advice. And I said, you know, he's really just gotten cold and she's his to lose. And then I don't know who it was in the room. Somebody was like, that's cool. So, I mean, that's when you can just never, you're never safe around a songwriter friend, because we're just going to use all of your heartbreak and your stories and write about them. But I really just love this song because I think it's super relatable. It's just, I think everyone's been in a situation, whether it's a friendship or, you know, a romantic relationship or work, where you just feel like you're being left in the dark and you're frustrated. And, but it's also, there's sort of a confidence in this song. Cause it's like, you know, you're acting this way, but, and you can go on, but like, you're going to regret it because I'm yours to lose. Which I think, that's kind of what I was shooting for, that little confidence.
You know, I gotta ask, what happened? Like, I feel like this is a soap
He's,
opera. What happened?
he is long gone, which we're happy about. And she's doing great. So things are good. And
Well,
now she's got a song coming out about her. So
I'm glad for her, but dude, dumb, dumb, and
yeah,
dumb.
totally,
Oh,
silly boys, you know.
is there an EP or an album gonna follow this?
I'm working on deciding that right now. There's definitely going to be more music coming out more frequently. So I think working towards an EP is what it's looking like. I just want to, now that, you know, the world is kind of coming back and we're getting ready to go play live again, I just want more out. I've been writing so much, and especially in the last year, because it was really all we could do. I've got a lot of really good stuff that I can't wait to share. So I'm thinking an EP is probably the way it's going to go.
Fantastic. Any chance for, I mean, you know, we're still trying to figure out too, if people can move around or whatever, at least virtual performances or anything happening with you?
Yeah, I would love to do some virtual stuff. I have some rounds booked here in the next little while. I was talking to some of the people at Boots and Hearts about maybe doing like a virtual thing with them. So that might be something to look out for, because they've always just been so supportive of any of like their EAS people releasing music, which is cool. So yeah, definitely that. And I'll be sharing some live performances of the song too soon. So there'll be some stuff out there.
Cannot wait. Vanessa, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank
I hope
you.
I hope we get a chance to talk again, because
Me too.
I'm hoping you're going to put out some Christmas music. And the reason why I'm saying that,
I love Christmas music.
and the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to talk to you again, because I want to find out what's going on with the family, if they're going to get together and they're going to
Yeah,
be told. So
absolutely.
I'd
Yeah,
love to hear more about it.
we should totally do that. I am absolutely up for that.
Thank you so much for the interview.